that many of the Caucasians who fought to end slavery did not fight to end slavery for benevolent reasons. They wanted to end slavery, the women, because they got tired of their men sneaking off to have sex with black women, creating all these mixed race children. There were very non-benevolent, selfish reasons for why Caucasians wanted to end freedom. And these same Caucasians, when freedom came, what happened to the abolitionists after 1865? White people living in the suburbs, and they see too many black people moving into the suburbs. So they will fight to improve the quality of life in the ghetto, so black people will stop moving out into the suburbs. They don't care about equality. They just don't want you around them. I received a good question this morning from one of my good brothers in Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out to my Phoenix. Where my Phoenix, Arizona Africans at? We got any Arizona Africans on there? I have to start spending a little bit more time in Arizona. Okay. Turks and Caicos. I can't wait to get back to Turks and Caicos. I'm overdue for my third visit to Turks and Caicos. Anyhow, the question that was posed, I'm going to read the question and answer it. I only have a few minutes because I have to go to an interview. But I want to answer this because it was a good question, and I think everyone will benefit from the answer. So where is it? Here we go. Dear brother, I just finished watching your interview on the Donnell Rawlings podcast. In reference to what you said about white people never giving up their privilege, I'm interested in your thoughts on the Quakers, abolitionists like John Brown, those that were part of the Underground Railroad, the many that died along with blacks during the Civil Rights Movement, members of the Weather Underground, and the White Panthers. Okay. To my knowledge, and I can be wrong, although the original Black Panther Party had solidarity struggle with Caucasians, I do not believe, I'm almost certain that the late great Dr. Huey P. Newton did not allow Caucasians to join the Black Panther Party. I'm almost certain of that. To my knowledge, there were no Caucasian Black Panthers. Now, my Black Panther alumni elders, they can speak to that better than me because they actually lived and struggled through the Black Panthers. But to my knowledge, the original Black Panthers did not allow Caucasians within their ranks. So that is the response to the Panther aspect of the question. As far as the Weather Underground goes, the Weather Underground were opposed to American imperialism. They were opposed to American capitalism. That does not mean they believed in equality between the race. This is where a lot of American Africans get confused when we talk about white liberals who, quote unquote, struggled for our freedom. When we talk about Caucasians who struggled for Black freedom and justice, you need to understand something. Wanting a group to be free, seeing slavery as wrong, seeing Jim Crow as wrong, does not mean I believe in equality. It's no different than when a Caucasian fights for animal rights. They fight for the right of animals not to be mistreated. Does that mean they believe the animal is their equal? You mentioned the abolitionists. The abolitionists, the white abolitionists who fought against slavery, were some of the most racist Caucasians in the country. Let me say that again. The white abolitionists who fought against slavery were some of the most racist Caucasians in the country. These same abolitionists did not allow Black people to join them. The white female abolitionists would not let Harriet Tubman join them. The white female abolitionists would not let Sojourner Truth join them because they thought Black people were still their intellectual inferiors. I need y'all to understand this. You also need to understand that many of the Caucasians who fought to end slavery did not fight to end slavery for benevolent reasons. They wanted to end slavery, the women, because they got tired of their men sneaking off to have sex with black women, creating all these mixed race children. They also feared that too many black people were coming into the country. They feared the rising influence of the black population. They didn't want black people around them. There were very non-benevolent, selfish reasons for why Caucasians wanted to end freedom. And these same Caucasians, when freedom came, what happened to the abolitionists after 1865? That's the question that nobody wants to talk about. What happened to the abolitionists after 1865? Have you noticed? You don't really hear about any abolitionists helping any black people do anything after the 13th Amendment. Why didn't these same people who fought to end slavery, why didn't they fight to help us get education, jobs, housing, protection from the Ku Klux Klan? Because they didn't care about black equality. They didn't care about black justice. They just didn't want us around them. It's the same thing, white people living in the suburbs. White people living in the suburbs, and they see too many black people moving into the suburbs. You understand me? So they will fight to improve the quality of life in the ghetto so black people will stop moving out into the suburbs. They don't care about equality. They just don't want you around them. So please understand, most white abolitionists were hypocrites. They did not allow black people to join them. Please study the relationship and the conflict between ancestor Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison, the father of the American Anti-Slavery Society. Please study the relationship and the conflicts between the Honorable Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison. William Lloyd Garrison hired Frederick Douglass to speak about his life as a slave. He wanted Frederick Douglass to speak about his life as a slave. When Frederick Douglass decided that he was tired of talking about life as a slave and he wanted to advocate for political abolition, freedom and justice for black people, he was scolded by William Lloyd Garrison and told to stay in his place. He was scolded by William Lloyd Garrison and told to stay in his place. When Frederick Douglass separated from William Lloyd Garrison and started fighting against slavery on his own terms, publishing his own newspaper, William Lloyd Garrison attacked Frederick Douglass. He attacked Frederick Douglass because even though he wanted to end slavery, he did not think black people were his intellectual equal. The same abolitionists who fought to end slavery are the same white people who fought for the Jim Crow laws. The same abolitionists who fought to end slavery are the same abolitionists who fought for Jim Crow laws. Two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. You can want slavery to end and still believe black people to be your inferior. You have white people today who fight for prison abolition. You have white people today who fight for prison abolition. Do you think the white prison abolitionists want black people marrying their daughters? Do you think the white prison abolitionists want black people living in their neighborhood? Do you think the white prison abolitionists believe that black people are their equal? Stop confusing one fight with another. We think that every time we see a white person do something good for black people, that they believe in equality. No, they don't. All white people believe in white privilege. All white people want to protect their white privilege. All white people want to uphold their white privilege. You also mentioned John Brown. On October the 17th, we will celebrate the almost eclipse of Dangerfield Newby, the black man who was the first to die for John Brown in the Harper's Ferry Revolt of 1859. John Brown was without question a revolutionary. But John Brown, like Che Guevara, in my opinion, still believed in white superiority. Why do I say that? Do you know that before John Brown died, he requested that the whites who joined him at Harper's Ferry be buried at his farm in North Elba, New York. he made no such provision for the blacks. Let me say it again. Before John Brown was hanged, he made a request that his white soldiers be buried in North Elba, New York, with him. But he did not request that the black men who died for him also be buried in North Elba, New York. John Brown also did not believe in interracial dating. The point that I'm making is that although John Brown gave his life to end slavery, he still did not believe black people to be his equal. He still did not believe black people to be his equal. Yes, he did some benevolent things. Yes, he was against slavery. But at the end of the day, he did not believe in racial equality. We need to understand this. And stop bringing up John Brown without bringing up Dangerfield Newby, whose eclipse will be on October the 17th. Stop bringing up John Brown unless you're going to bring up the first man to die for John Brown. If you're going to bring up Shields Green, the second man who died with John Brown, or you're going to bring up John Anthony Copeland who died for John Brown, or you're going to bring up Osborne Anderson, who was the only black man to survive the John Brown raid. And are you going to bring up Lewis Sheridan Leary, who died for John Brown? You have 5 black men who struggled with John Brown. You have 1 black man who died for 5 black men died for John Brown. 5 black men struggled for John Brown. 4 of them died. 1 of them survived. 4 of the black men who struggled for John Brown had their lives taken. 1 man escaped. But y'all keep talking about John Brown. When are we going to talk about Dangerfield Newby? When are we going to talk about Shields Green? When are we going to talk about John Anthony Copeland? When are we going to talk about Lewis Sheridan Leary? We always want to praise Caucasians and ignore our own people. I have no problem respecting John Brown. I have no problem respecting any white person who stood up for black people in any capacity. But I have so many black heroes I don't even know yet. I have so many African heroes I don't even know yet. There's so many great Africans who lived. I have no time to worship and praise the member of another race until I've properly praised all members of my race.
Paul Bogle turns in his grave. Sam Sharpe, Nanny, Captain Cujo, they're turning in their grave because the very thing that they talked about, sovereignty for Jamaica, is at risk because we won't stop accepting the so-called investment, which is nothing but a disguise for neocolonialism.
While the white man and Chinese man can't stand your black ass.